of that, speaking of healthcare, we showed a clip the other day of George Maziars' sister being escorted off the podium when she was talking about healthcare.
Yeah, you were there. We saw you sitting there.
What'd you think about all that? Or what did we not see or not know about by just viewing?
Well, you didn't know.
What is the
you didn't know I had this here.
What is the rest of the story?
I just put a resolution.
The rest of the story.
And this is the truth. You guys didn't know this, right?
No.
I put in a resolution today.
I don't know what it is until you tell us if I knew it. I don't know.
Asking the Niagara County Legislature to apologize to Joanne Dickey. And where it says, whereas on September 6, 2011, Ms. Joanne Dickey came before the Niagara County Legislature to speak on health care benefits for part-time legislators. And whereas it is her right to speak before the legislature on agenda items as per the rules of order, Rule 10, and whereas Ms. Dickey was addressing the legislature about the issue of health care benefits for part-time legislators, and whereas Ms. Dickey was trying to explain her opinion as to why part-time legislators should not receive this lucrative benefit, and whereas when she was trying to prove her point by expressing that some legislators have other options in order to receive health care, and whereas when she was expressing her views without naming names, Ms. Dickey was silenced and ordered away from the podium and escorted by a sheriff deputy, and whereas this is a matter of public record as to which legislators take health care, and that this benefit, which falls into the category of their duties and benefits, and whereas Ms. Dickey was within her rights to speak on this subject, now therefore be resolved that the Niagara County Legislature owes a public apology to Mrs. Dickey and the rest of the public for her abrupt removal from the podium on September 6, 2011, and further be resolved that Ms. Dickey should also be able to finish her opinion on health care benefits for Niagara County legislators.
Now, you also asked that they have the speaking at the beginning of the meeting?
Yes.
What did they say about
where
that?
it was before.
What did they say about that?
They sent everything to committee. So now we got to wait till it goes to committee.
What does that mean, go to committee? They got to go talk
so
about
we
it?
can go to
discuss
committee
it?
and discuss it, yeah.
Yeah.
So something like this, when will you know if they might?
Well, I'm going to ask that we
Give it
just
a- yeah,
vote
we
on
should
it that night. I'm going to ask, there's a rule in our rules of order that you can call to have something voted on that night that doesn't have to go to committee.
Okay.
Because this really doesn't
was
involve any
disgraceful.
It was terrible.
It was disgraceful.
And especially,
My God.
you know what got me, Steve, was that the women's caucus that they just formed didn't say a word.
I asked that the other night. I asked that
Just
the other night.
ask, what were they?
What
I have a
would they
question,
do?
Dennis.
Yeah.
Now that you've been nice for the last couple of minutes, so you said you're gonna.
Oh, yeah, can I?
You had something to cover?
Yeah. I want to talk about our distinguished senator when he was here last week. And just, let me tell you something.
George.
Yes, little George. A senator is supposed to be a statesman. When we had senators like John Daly, Tony Masiello, Byron Brown, Anthony Nanula. Them were statesmen. They didn't come and go on a talk show and start bashing everybody, bashing the city that they're in, okay? He doesn't represent Niagara Falls, but Niagara Falls is in his county that he does represent, and he should be more of a statesman, not a bully, not a, he does everything for political purposes. That's all this is. If there was a Republican mayor here, he would be saying this is the greatest city in the world. He did that in North Tonawanda. When there was a Democratic mayor there, he started bashing North Tonawanda about the way the mayor is. Now it's the greatest, North Tonawanda is the greatest thing because they got a Republican mayor. Same thing in Lewiston. When Fred Newland was down there and he gave power to the people when they had the power settlement. He just bashed Newland and bashed him, and now there's a Republican there who's a supervisor. The people are still getting the power. He's not saying a word, is he? This guy, he just irks me. He lies, and he's the guy behind all these mailers. And I don't care what he says, okay? He's behind all these mailers. There's secret money going into these campaigns because none of this is traceable. There's no names on here, see, because I could sue for what they said in here, okay, about the lies, and I'll get into that.
I thought you said you were suing.
No, I can't. Who am I going to sue?
I don't know.
It doesn't tell who sent
Don't
this.
they have a number? Don't they say you
A
can
postal
trace
number,
it by
yeah,
that permit
well,
number?
You try going to the postal office and get it. They won't give it to you.
Freedom of Information Act?
Freedom of Information, they won't give it to you. Now, you check everybody's financials. My opponent didn't even file a financial, which is illegal, all right? She claims she didn't spend any money. Well, how did they do, we'll say almost 8 robocalls in my district, all right? These things here, believe me when I tell you, they cost almost 40 cents a piece to mail, okay? And he had to send out 2,000 or 3,000 of them times 5, okay? So that's just in my district. And then they also sent one out on the mayor, which was this one, I think. No, where is it? Oh, I didn't bring the mayor's one with me, but you had it here. That went citywide. They had to cost them at least, they had to spend, I say about, in my campaign alone, probably about $15,000 to $20,000.
But you said, just to clarify, you said,
Now-
I don't know where they came from, but I know it came from Maziars?
Yes, we know, because he's the only one in the county.
No, I mean,
No, I know.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
way
Oh,
is
here's
it?
the one on the mayor. Here's the one on the mayor. This is the one on the mayor. This one's citywide. So that had to cost them, mucho bucks. But,
So what-
sources tell
okay,
us,
all right.
that he is involved with this. We all know he's involved with this. He's the only one that's sitting here with $700,000 in the bank in his campaign war chest, okay, that can afford to do things like this. All right, there's no record anywhere. You look on the Conservative Party, they have like $5,000, I think. The Independent Party had, and you can go on the website, by the way, the New York State website, and look. And my opponent didn't spend a dime. She says that she don't even have her financial up there yet, which is illegal. She didn't even know she had to file a financial, because when Cheryl Wagner called her, and it was in the paper, Cheryl Wagner did a guest view, asked her about her financials. She didn't even know. She goes, well, I didn't even know I had to file one. And she goes, you didn't know you had to file a financial and you're running for office? I mean, that shows what kind of legislator she is.
Where were those handlers at then?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't know.
So you don't have a problem with mailers going out, you have a problem with the content
Oh,
of that, right?
it's all lies. They said I was being investigated by the FBI. When did you ever see the FBI say, this person's not being investigated? Have you ever seen that? No. They were so mad because they sent out an alert dialer throughout my district that the FBI was investigating me. The FBI called me from Washington, all right? From Washington, D.C. says, can you play that recording for me? So I played it for him. He says, you have the press call the district director tomorrow. That's how mad they were.
And what happened?
They said that Dennis Virtuoso and the mayor are not under investigation by the
Did
FBI.
they retract it?
They retracted it.
All right.
They said it right out, and you never heard the FBI say that. They always They always say no comment.
Right,
But
yeah.
they were so mad about what would happen here, and especially that newspaper using the FBI as a source.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Sal, Ro,
Hi.
Dennis,
Hi.
and I believe you call yourself the 800-pound gorilla?
Yes, my name's Steve.
It's a
Yes.
pleasure whenever you're on.
Thank you.
Good show tonight. Anyways, you can see why they can't get people to run for office. It's a blood sport here in Niagara County.
Yes.
But anyways, that said, Dennis, I was listening to when you had said that you were going to bring up the resolution at the legislative meeting regarding having an apology for Mrs. Dickey. I want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
Also, a lot of people are under the impression that Mrs. Dickey was the only speaker that spoke regarding the health care benefits. They only permit 10 citizens to speak on agenda-related items. And there were 6 people that night that also spoke that they wanted those eliminated for part-time legislators. I mean, they were of the opinion that it's just utterly ridiculous that with the economic crisis that we have in this day and age, that we have to give health care to part-time workers. I mean, anywhere in the private sector, this just doesn't happen. And I'm sure you can allude to that. And like I said, the meeting was it was horrible. It was a horrible experience for everybody in the audience that had to view that. Ross goes through his 10 commandments, and he's treating the public as if he were a commandant. It's absolutely horrible. It's humiliating. This is long overdue. I think what happened there, I mean, he went to extreme. It was a total overkill on his part that you had to actually have a deputy. And I'm sure the deputy didn't look like he wanted to, he didn't look like he wanted to remove Mrs. Dickey from there. And
I was wondering if the legislators had talked among themselves.
I was talking to Renee about it. I said, this is absolutely ridiculous.
And what was the consensus of that?
That we got to do something about it. And
That's
that's what I'm
right.
doing. I'm putting the
That's right.
resolution in.
I
And
do.
you know, another thing that Dennis happened to bring up, you too, Sal, I'm surprised you didn't say anything when you had Senator Maziar on your program last week, when Dave Mangello called up, and he's a business owner. Hey, he's trying to make it in the town of Lockport. And did you hear the senator start on him about what his financial business dealings were? Come on, a state senator is supposed to have a certain amount of stature. Whenever I hear Maziar talk, you know what I hear him talk about? Deister and Francine.
Right, well, that's what I was saying.
Francine's not in the assembly anymore.
That's what I was
What is Maziar out after the last pound of flesh?
That's what I was
He
saying.
gets me sick.
That's what I was saying in the beginning of the show. I don't know if you saw it, that a state senator should be a statesman and you know, promote an area and promote people, not degradate people. You know, and when he comes here, first thing he does is he tries to take the heat off himself and start talking about other things and other people. So this way he takes the heat off him. So nobody calls him and starts talking about state issues. If you notice, the whole time he's on here, he never talks about state issues. He talks about everybody else and all the other politicians.
As soon as Dave Mangello brought up about an employee in Maziar's office having an allegation of a sexual harassment lawsuit, he said, no, that didn't happen. And yet he told Mangello in the first part, no, that's not true. And then when Mangello told him, I have the court papers right in front of me, then he said, but it's a civil matter. I don't care what civil, whatever. It still happened. Why did he try to reduce Mangello and start talking about Dave's business and about that video?
Every time I've ever spoken to him and it's been on the air or listened to him have anything to say with anybody under any circumstances, all I can tell you is I hear the music because he's dancing. He never addresses anything of any consequence or any meat, and he never addresses his job. In fact, I don't know what his job is anymore because I think all he does is stand up here and play act. He's not a politician in the true sense of the word. He's a clown.
Oh, you're right. Well, you know, I call him the big cheese in Niagara County because the big cheese that controls all the patronage jobs. You
Yes.
know, but it's getting to be rather trite.
Dennis, Steve, hiya.
Hello.
Hello.
When I was listening, watching the over cable, the legislature, at the beginning when they had the presentations, Mr. Ross, the chairman, had acknowledged, rightly so, how our soldiers are fighting for our freedoms and they are sacrificing, and their families. They are fighting for our freedoms, and one of our freedoms is freedom of speech. And Joanne Maziars Dickey was exercising as a citizen of the U.S. in Niagara County. She was exercising her free speech. Here's someone who is exercising her right, and he stops her.
Right.
This is hypocritical. I don't really believe he takes to heart how people have fought for our rights and our freedoms. That was very un-American. And he's going to be part of the legislature. I don't want him there.
Good evening, lady and gentlemen.
Good evening.
This is the first time I've called in, so I'm not sure who the people are. But I do want to say congratulations to Dennis Virtuoso. He has been an excellent legislator for years. And the people of Niagara Falls should be proud that they put him back in office, because God help us, if they wouldn't have put him in office, we would have lost all of our rights in that legislature, because there are some other good GOP legislators in there. The only thing is they're scared to death of George, because George has gotten some of their siblings and spouses jobs, and if they do anything to irritate him, then he takes these jobs away from him. This is how he operates with everybody. And what I would like to do, I do want to say Bill Ross should go. I told him that, I think 2 years ago, Dennis, if you remember, I told him he should take a permanent vacation because he has been a bully for a long time. And I would urge people on the 20th of this month, it's a Tuesday night, next Tuesday, to attend the legislative meeting. It starts at 7 o'clock. We would like to have as many people there as possible.